All right, welcome everybody. I'm going to call our February 4th Sherwood City Council meeting, regular meeting into session at 7:12. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everybody. Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Rosner,
Here.
Council President Young,
Here.
Councilor Browse.
Here.
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Councilor Giles.
Here.
Councilor Stankey.
Here.
Thank you. And Councilor Mays is absent.
All right, thank you, Sylvia. Next is approval of the agenda. We've talked about moving
Yep.
some items around.
I'd like to make a motion that we switch the order of item 6, citizen comments, to be the new number 7, and item 7, presentations, to be the new number 6.
Second.
All right, we have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, council. So with that, we'll go to the consent agenda. Item 5, we have 2 items on the consent agenda tonight. We have the approval of the January 11th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. And item B, approval of the January 21st, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move consent. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council. So we're going to go ahead and move to item 7, presentation. So we have 2 Eagle Scouts here tonight. The first one we're going to, let's see, the first one we're going to do tonight is, let me look. Jasmine Sperling. You want to come up? Hi. So there's a little button. Wait, actually red is on. Red is on.
Mic's already on.
Okay. Up here, red is off.
You can
so
move
we
it
get
closer to you.
confused.
Yeah.
Welcome. So for those listening, we have 2 people tonight that earned Eagle Scouts in Scouts, and we have a tradition of bringing them to our city council meetings to recognize their efforts and learn a little bit about their journey. So welcome, Jasmine. And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah, so tell us a little bit about becoming an Eagle Scout, and I think a lot of us would really like to know about your project that you did.
Yeah, so it's taken me years to get to where I am now, and I just recently aged out right around where I got my project and I earned the rank of Eagle Scout. I was really close, but I did it. And it's taken a lot of finding my own path and figuring out what works best for me and organization and what type of project I want to do and what the impact of my project would be. So what is up there, the elephant in the room, is my my planner or like organization for getting my project finished or completed. To get your Eagle project done, you have like a workbook, and it has like all the standard things of what do you need for your finances, what do you what projects or what materials are you gonna need, what volunteers do you have like available. And I had been sitting on my hands for months, going on to years, not making my way through the workbook. And it eventually got to a point where I think it was like a year or 2 in, where I was at the rank right before Eagle, and I was like working with my mom, working with our beneficiary, and I was like, the only way I think I can move forward is if I just get a sketchbook and I just work through my sketchbook. And I'm an art, like I do a lot of art classes at the school. I am in like literary classes. And so kind of starting in one place and just branching out is the way that I have found that I work through projects, which was really great experience. This was a great experience for me to learn that and practice that. So I will do like a brief kind of overview of like what my project was, because it gets a little confusing looking through here because it is literally just my working thoughts. So my project was to work with a preschool in Tigard, a private preschool, to do a playhouse with with unique like toys, I guess, in place in or put into the playhouse, and a picnic table that kind of matched the same vibe with artistic elements. I want to promote inspiration and creativity and inspire these like 4 to 6 year olds because I love education. I love working with children. I work at the Y, and I love inspiring people to connect with nature and be themselves. So that's what I wanted my project to be. So let me figure out how to control this thing. So, okay, cool. So, this is the first page. It is literally, it's just my, it's how I started my, I guess, tracking my hours. And it ends up, I kind of end up just losing it because you need to get a minimum of like 100 hours of, I think, just yourself working, which ended up being a lot more than that. So I was stewing on this idea for a long time before July when I started working on this officially. And I have a intro page. So this is when I started looking at playhouses and toying with ideas of what kinds of toys I wanted to include. I want them to be engaging and fulfill different senses. And so for the playhouse, I wanted something fun, and I ended up going with that blue one. And I'll go over later some of the problems that I faced, which one of them was I waited too long and it ended up stop being sold at Home Depot. So I had to end up going through Walmart. So that was an interesting experience and very stressful. This was some more of my thoughts for toys that I want to include. At the very top, I have this kind of like shutters type idea where it has different levels, kind of like a busy board with different lock type mechanisms. But that ended up being too complicated, and I was worried about like safety precautions with working with children and them being like closed off and not being able to be seen by a health person. And I've got some outlines for some later on toys that you'll see finished. I wanted to talk to Home Depot, Lowe's, and different people who could provide donations, and I ended up not getting a ton of donations from them. So I went to my personal life and went through a lot of family members who ended up being able to provide all of the donations necessary to complete my project. These were my first thoughts for my bench. I wanted to do some outdoorsy designs, and I want to also include a quote that was touching and could be inspirational. I ended up going with a Martin Luther quote that writes, "God writes the gospel, not in the Bible alone, but also on trees and in the flowers and clouds and stars." I thought that was just a nice little thing. I had miscellaneous planning, just lots of my pages. This is how I think, this is how I
This is
plan.
awesome.
So thank you. And I was able to, again, with organization, I ended up working with like, there was one day where I was at a scout meeting and I just had 4 or 5 adults just like around the circular table being like, okay, so what, like, okay, if we're gonna do sanding, then you need all like the sanding materials, right? And I'm like, yeah, right. And so we're starting to put together and string together all of the days and the different days I would need. It wouldn't just be one Eagle project day, which I see a lot of future Eagles and then past Eagles do. But I needed several days to complete all these different aspects. This was ended up being the finances at the end, which was pricey, but worth it. This was what one of the picnic table looked like before I intervened. I was told that it was around 20 years old and it was just gross. In the bottom corner, you'll see a old like play picnic table that was breaking apart. It was unsafe and it was not fun. This is some of the hours that I broke down as I would go through the days. I would just kind of see who was here for how long. It ended up being more than 174 hours. This was just like some of the things. Here's where it gets more collagey. So in the top, you can see where I gathered inspiration. I actually worked with my friend who is also a high schooler and does CAD type design. And he was able to put into software. I worked with him with the toys, being able to cut out and make all the prints and do all the digital stuff that I needed help with. We were able to use the laser cutter at one of the adult schools, and we later filled those in with blue wood stain to match the playhouse. And we used like vinyl stickers as templates to fill in, so it wouldn't just be painting individual things. It was taking them, plastering them, painting, and then removing. So here are some of the working designs for what we wanted the painting to look like for some of them. So we got a little toy clock out of it, a little birdhouse, and some spinny butterflies. And you can see the unpainted wooden versions of the spinny butterflies in the bottom corner. Here are some more colored versions working with what we wanted the paint to look like, and the bare version of them before painting as we were sketching them out. In the top, you can also see our prototype for the gears, because that took a lot of figuring out and trial and error to make these gears spin. And one of my favorites was the little caterpillar maze on a leaf. And we later painted it to look like Eric Carl's Very Hungry Caterpillar. This is what the day before, around 1 a.m., I was writing down everything I would need for the next big day, just going through everything. And this is a continuation of it. Like after the big project day where we were assembling everything, which I'll show in a second, I showed some setbacks, just some random things that could have gone better, like the Home Depot error that in my purchasing. And I also had to switch a few painters when it got to the painting portion. And I also I didn't put, when I was like screwing in, I guess, the wooden planks, I put the one with the quote to the side because I wasn't looking at the front. And then I noticed again, way into the early hours in the morning, that it was wrong. And so I had to figure out how I want to do that without the least pain possible, unscrewing the least amount of screws. So this is when I realized that I didn't have to fill out the workbook entirely and submit that for my Eagle Board of Review. Instead, I could bring my sketchbook. And so instead of taking all of my information and putting it into this workbook, I just incorporated some things that I didn't really touch on, and was able to incorporate that stuff like logistics and safety and all the little things. This was part of our sticker moving and all that kind of stuff. In the bottom is my good friend. She's helping me paint. She spent a lot of time after when we worked or in the evenings just painting in my garage. This was the actual assembly day for the Playhouse. We did it on site. I delegated 2 groups, one for the picnic table, like assembling officially the picnic table, and assembling the Playhouse. And we got it all up in a few hours, and it was real smooth. Going back, before we put on the any of the art, we had to sand and stain. And also we found some really poor quality wood holding it together. So we wanted to replace that for just better quality and longer lasting. And we spent some extra time, and it took a little bit longer than we thought it would with all the layers and the sanding and all that good stuff. So it ended up being a few more days than just August 7th. I taught my friend how to drill a pilot hole, which was really fun. I'm not wearing proper safety gear. Don't worry about that. And I have another great friend of mine doing the cloud art that I was really set on having, but it wasn't working out with our template method. And so doing it by hand with a mix of outdoor acrylic paint and the wood stain that we were using for other parts ended up being the solution. We did just kind of a mishmash of random liquids, and we were able to get a really beautiful piece. You can see a corner of it, but you'll have a better view of it later. And we did most of the art except for the stars that we did on the day of assembly. So here is the final picnic table. I absolutely adore the way it turned out. We had to come back and do some sealing after our mishmash of paints was kind of starting to fail us, and it was starting to leak when starting to come up when the water came, but it was no big deal. We just came and did another type of sealant, and that worked a lot better. And these were the completed toys. After lots of painting, lots of ideas, we were able to put them up. And I'm very satisfied. I had lots of help with being able to figure out what would work and to get to this final project. And I think it's my last page. So yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I think in all my years here, I think this is the best presentation we've had. Truly amazing. I think the thing that struck me the most, and I'm sure the rest of council will have some questions for you, but I love the fact that you had this grand vision and you didn't you have amazing skills, but you didn't let the lack of your skills get in the way of your vision. And you went out there and you found people to help you that kind of filled those gaps. And that's amazing. That's what great leaders do. It's probably a big reason you're an Eagle Scout. So congratulations. This is really cool. Does anyone else have any other comments?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean,
Yeah.
also just, I love how you touched on your setbacks, because like in every project, there's always things that go, wrong or not the way you expected or wanted, and how you pivoted. Like that's really cool. Like you see that a lot of people get discouraged or frustrated by those things. And I'm sure you've had those feelings too, but the fact they're able to like work through them and overcome them and pivot to a different design or a different outcome, I think is incredible. And I'll echo what Tim said. I've been on council 6 years and we've had, I don't know, lots of Eagle Scouts come through. This is only the second one that's had a presentation prepared, and both of those have been my two favorites by far, because it really gives us a vision of what you did and how it all came together and the work you put in and what the outcome was versus, and the other one was great too. So I love that. So thank you for doing that for us, because it really helps bring it home.
I'm glad it worked out like that.
I think I said as you were opening that, like, I didn't use the book that they wanted because I did my own, but that project management book that you have right there from the start to the finish, that's amazing. And that's great skills at whatever you want to do in life. Managing a project, and yeah, like Doug said, the setbacks, when you always at the end look and think back, what went wrong? What could I have done different? Anything like that. That's just really amazing.
And don't beat yourself up too much about waiting till you're almost 18, because I don't know the stats on it, but I bet it's a lot of a lot of Eagle Scouts wait until the last bit. But part of it is that performing under pressure. And I remember when I was doing my project and I told my dad, I'm like, I could do all this. I know how to do all this. Why don't I just do it and take care of it? And he said to me very clearly, he's like, a big part of this is trying to figure out how to get other people to share your vision and to bring them along and all the other. And so I love that you did that with your friends and adults. And, sometimes in the real world, you're going to have people older than you that you're going to have to be the leader of. And so great job doing that. And congratulations on doing something that's very, very difficult.
Congratulations. Thank you for sharing your story and the visuals from start to finish and everything that was involved. It really made it more powerful. And I hope you continue to share that story with others that are along the pathway. I think I heard you say that you work at the Y. What do you do at the Y?
I'm in Y time or Child Watch.
Perfect. So you're able to share some of these skills with those kids.
Oh, absolutely. I love working with them creatively and inspire them.
Awesome. Keep up the good work there. How did you make the decision to work with a Tigered preschool versus somewhere here in Sherwood?
Yeah, so the scoutmaster to my brother's troop, when he's also an Eagle, when he went through, his wife, Wendy Greger,
Okay.
was who I worked with. She was very excited when she was just asked me on a whim if what my project was gonna be. I said, I don't know, but I want to work with something that impacts children. And she's like, well, I teach at a preschool. And I'm like, okay, so let's work this out.
Yes,
So,
Wendy's awesome.
yeah.
The power of connections and partnerships right there. And what are your plans for the future?
I plan on going into anything environmental or that goes on with my mission of impacting the next generation, inspiring people creatively and sparking courage within each individual to see that they have power to change the environment and change who they are and change the community around them.
Awesome. Awesome. And something to consider. You're out of school now, correct?
Am I out of school?
Are you out of high school?
No, not yet. I'm in my senior year.
You're in your senior year. Okay. So this summer there's a program through Rotary. It's called RYLA, Rotary Youth Award. And with your background and what I just heard from you, you would be a great candidate for that program. So something to consider. You can contact me via the city and I'll get you connected. But it's a week-long leadership program that I think you would be a really, really strong candidate.
Thank you.
It's an amazing program. Yeah,
Good
you'd
to
love
know.
it. Well, we have a certificate for you, and I'm sure your parents would like a photo op with the certificate.
Incredible.
And I love that you wore your uniform. Some don't. It's just very nice.
Save that book.
I have that in the background too. Oh, okay. That's a good point.
That's all right. We don't. We didn't do anything.
All right, we have one more Eagle Scout that's going to present tonight. He's actually joining us via
He's right there.
Zoom. There he is. Hi, Derek. Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can. Hey,
All right,
welcome to the
excellent.
welcome to the meeting. Congratulations on making Eagle Scout. We're super excited to hear about your journey and your project and what you did to get there. So tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. Yeah, so following the previous presentation is a very hard thing to do because she did such an amazing job. I don't have anything prepared, so but
It's totally
Um,
okay.
It's totally fine.
I am 2,000 miles away from home right now. So,
Uh,
but yeah, so I should begin off by telling you guys how I came with the idea for my Ego project. So my Ego project was creating this archery booth. If any of you have seen it at the holiday festival or the Robin Hood festival. So effectively, what it is, it's just some targets, wood targets, and it comes with some suction cup bows. It's designed for a bunch of little kids to have fun, especially at these festivals in which there aren't very many like kid-friendly free things to do for families. And so initially, I did not actually know what I was going to do, but Ron Greger, who helps coordinate a lot of the Robin Hood Festival things, actually lives across the street from me. So since he also used to be our scoutmaster for my troop, and so he told me to when it was time for me to get my Eagle project to go talk to him. So I actually had a choice between two options, one of which was this project, and another was redesigning the castle, if any of you are familiar with that. But I chose this one for the archery booth because, quite frankly, I was very appealed by the idea of having this very fun thing for kids to do. And so I was talking to him about this. But the difficulty of this project, this has been suggested for many years. No one really has taken him up on this, was because there's a huge technical difficulty with building all of this. Because first of all, I had to make a way to make some archery booth that was both safe for kids and relatively easy to make. So to begin off with all of this, before I even asked for donations, before I started building anything, I had to figure out how am I going to make this, right? So obviously I can't use sharp tip arrows. That's not going to really work for an archery booth designed for kids. And so I got inspiration from online where I saw these very like toy, like plastic targets and these toy bows. And so I was talking to Ron about this, and he's actually suggested using something very similar to like some kind of like plexiglass or something like that. Now, plexiglass is very expensive, so I had to find an alternative, which led me into doing a bunch of prototypes where I tried different materials as to see, what was the best way to make this. Because at this point, I decided on using a suction cup arrows as our main type of bow for both convenience and relative cheap cost. And so that initial portion took a couple weeks as my dad helped me build these like prototype targets, and we went through different testing of materials. Eventually, we decided on using this chemical called polyurethane, in which kind of causes like a plastic coating on top of your wood. Now, this would allow us to actually paint beneath on the wood and apply a layer of coating that would actually allow to have the suction cup arrows to be on. And so after this prototype was made and we tested it, and it worked relatively well, that's when I actually, had to start the project. The first step was for me to collect, materials and stuff like that. Wood and paints were expensive, and so I had to, go around asking for donations. So, luckily enough for me, I'm very thankful for this. Home Depot and Sherwin-Williams, they donated a lot of materials for me, like hundreds of dollars worth of materials, a lot of wood from Home Depot, and a lot of paint for Sherwin-Williams. I'm very thankful for them because this has been a very costly Eagle project otherwise. So basically, once I got these materials, I had to start making these targets. I don't know if anyone has seen them before, but effectively, they're just these wooden boards on these triangular bases. And actually, like cutting out the wood and screwing everything together was a very easy process because I had a lot of help from my troop. A lot of scouts and a lot of parents showed up. I'm very thankful for them because with their help, I was able to basically cut everything within one work session of a few hours. And that went very smoothly because everyone cooperated very well, very hardworking. But step 2 of the project was to paint it. I don't know if anyone's seen them. There's a lot of these. We have 6 targets, 6 actual like targets with your circles on them. One of which is a kind of a wreath design. Those relatively easy to paint in terms of skill. But I also had a lot of help from both my family and some of my friends to design some of the more complicated paintings for the targets, which I kind of intended to represent like the silhouettes you have for actual arrow targets, the foam ones. So we drew some animals, including like bears. I think I drew a penguin. Again, this is all for like, trying to appeal to the kids that this whole project was intended for. And as I got feedback from people as this project was used in the festivals, the kids really loved it. So I'm glad I decided to have these, animal drawings for targets. And so this part of the project took way longer than expected. With the several coats, because you have these several coatings of paint and very long hour. It took a very long time, a lot of help. And quite frankly, without other people helping me with this painting process, I could never have gone this done before I had to leave for college. And so I'm very thankful for all the people helping me with this painting because, yeah. But yeah, so once that was done, right, I had some extra materials left. And with these extra materials, there's some paint, some wood that was left over from the cutting. I decided to make these little decorations on the sides for the archery booth, make it look a little bit more lively, It turned out very nicely, both the decorations and the whole archery booth as a whole. I think with everyone's help, it turned out very nicely. Due to my schedule and all that stuff, I wasn't actually able to go to very many of its employments in like the festivals. But from what I've heard from other people, everyone had a blast with them. And this took me so many hours to, design these prototypes, to help people with painting, that I'm very glad that all this effort ended up causing these children to have a lot of fun. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's amazing. And I love the fact that for you, the best part was seeing the kids actually enjoy the product. Because the journey's fun too, but seeing those results is always amazing. So congratulations. Questions or comments from council?
I'll do a comment.
Yeah.
So throughout your whole presentation, you use the word thankful many, many, many times. And I think that's a great attribute that you can acknowledge the people and the businesses that helped you succeed in your project. Do you know approximately how many hours between you and all your volunteers that you worked on your project?
I think somewhere on the magnitude of like 200 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, congratulations. That's a great project. And now I want to go at the Robin Hood Festival and search those out so I can see them.
I wish my kids were still little.
I was gonna say, you don't have to be a kid because my freshman in high school challenged me. I think I lost and ended up having to buy him a snow cone. And so we enjoyed them together. So thank you for your work on that. And by the way, I loved also how many people you got involved in it and it and really getting the community to help participate in there really shows amazing leadership skills. So thank you for that and congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you say you were 2,000 miles away?
Yeah, 2,000 miles away. I'm currently in Baltimore, Maryland.
Ah, okay, so you're at school.
Yeah.
Now the booth was at the the Christmas or the holiday festival, correct?
Yes, it was.
I thought okay. My grandson, who's almost 5, absolutely loved it. So well done. I got to see it and play. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the previous presentation. And what are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so at least right now, I love physics a lot, and so I'm currently at school studying physics. My current plan for the future is to go into physics academia, become a professor. I mean, one of my biggest professional goals is to combine both my love for physics, my hobbies of writing, and my joy for teaching other people into trying to eventually reach a position where I can basically spread knowledge of physics more by making it more enjoyable and more accessible to the public knowledge through books and stuff like that. So that's what my current goal for the future is.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your project too.
Do you envision yourself becoming like a science communicator then around physics?
So I can't hear that. That's a bit quiet.
I had my mic off, I'm sorry. So do you envision yourself like being a science communicator when it comes to
Yeah.
physics? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Mhm.
Very cool. Dan, did you?
I was just going to say that at the Robin Hood Festival, my son used the archery things and he wanted to stay there all day. So you did a great job. And, but thank you for making notes.
They were a big hit.
Yes.
Thank you.
All these stories of people having fun are really they're really telling me that what I did was definitely worth it.
Absolutely. Well, good luck in your year at school.
Yeah, and thanks for
thank you.
taking the time to tell us about your project and your journey and congratulations on Eagle Scout. That's a big deal. And I don't know if you can see me, I'm holding up your certificate. So we will get that to you and make sure you get your copy of that. So actually, it's not a copy, it's an original. Why did I say copy?
Mayor, I would also love if you could do an addendum this next Robin Hood Festival, you could do a plaque about the physics of an arrow trajectory and how to get a bullseye every single time through the power of physics.
Are you familiar with Mark? Is it Mark Robers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark
he built a target that doesn't matter how you shoot, you always get a bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, Derek. Congratulations, and we'll get this certificate in the mail for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Oh,
Have
no
a great
problem.
night. It's late on your end of the country.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks, Derek.
thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Silly. Yeah, big applause. I thought you were, I forgot something, so thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, and so we know it's a school night, so we have just a couple more items on the agenda, but don't feel like you have to stay for the whole meeting, so. But okay, great. Awesome. All right, so now we're gonna go back to item 6, which is citizen comments. Sylvia. All right, we have one person for citizen comments tonight. Just it's Dave Sweeney. Dave, you've presented many times, so you know the rules. 4 minutes, and we always love having you here. So come on up.
I love it when you like me.
Yeah.
Can we take a guess on what you're going to talk about?
No.
Flowers.
You already know it. And unlike Jasmine, who aged out of scouting program just recently, I aged out of Cub Scouts about 150 years ago. So there is that. You did a great job, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Dave Sweeney, Sherwood resident. This was a notice that was given to the residents of Shady Grove that back up into that narrow strip, the flagpole lot on Redfern. And basically what it says is notice to advise you that in the first week of February, construction activities will start immediately adjacent to your property. I'll back up into it for the development of a new subdivision and work to include construction staking, installation of tree protective measures. There's a short tree protective fence, cleaning underbrush, removal of trees. They already have been there. They were there Monday, they were there today. They have surveyed it, they have staked it out. They have very little left to do except tag the trees to be removed and put that short fencing in and get a little of the brush taken off. If the city doesn't intervene in the next few days, the trees will be down by the end of next week, all of them. My reason here tonight is to plead with you, as you know from the email I sent all of you, to please call the developer. I've given you his contact information. It's Westwood Homes, and I don't know what camera I'm on, but Todd, if you're watching, I'll call you. I'll call you now and just ask you to please ask him to put a pause on it for a couple of weeks, just a pause, and then talk to him and see if you can get him to agree to sell you that strip. It's about an acre for the profit he would gain from the sale of the two houses. He's got lots of expenses, but just the profit. That's what money he's going to make, whatever percentage that is. If you do that, you save that strip, he wins. On his website, on the About Us page, there's two listings, construction and giving back. They want to give back. Give him an opportunity to do that. Don't ask him to give it to you free. Give it to him at a fair price, the profit he would make from the sale of those two homes. Now, I'm not anti-development. I'm pro-nature and preserving, as I know all of you guys are, as much of that tree canopy as we possibly can. And that property, that strip, is immediately adjacent to the Gregory property, about 9.5 acres. They butt right up against each other. And I know you've heard from them here in this hall. Neil and I went over and talked to them at the end of the week, and they reiterated to us in no uncertain terms they do not want to sell to a developer. They strongly prefer to sell to the city and have the city preserve it as a natural area or nature park. They've lived there for 47 years, almost 50 years. They've raised all 4 kids there. They don't want to sell to a developer. Their kids don't want to sell to a developer. Their grandkids who play on the property don't want them to. And if their great grandkids were old enough, they wouldn't want them to sell to. So I'm really pleading with you, and you've got to do it soon. They may start cutting. I mean, there's not much left to do. They may start cutting in the next couple of days, but surely by the end of next week, all those trees are going to be down. And then I did a quick Google search. Took me 10, 15 seconds for grants. And up came Metro's grant, capital grant. They call Nature in Neighborhoods Capital Grant. And there are 4 categories that you can apply into. The first one is land acquisition. That's what we're getting at. They're large chunks of money, from $100,000 at a minimum to $1 million on the other end. And that's just a quick Google search. I know there are other grants out there. And again, that narrow strip adjoins the Gregory's property. That would make a nice 10+ acre plot. And there's so many great trees out there. So please call a developer tomorrow. Him, Taylor, Dan, I just met you. I would like to get to know you. Doug, Kim, Renee, thank you. Please do that. And I know I'm a one-trick pony, but gosh, I believe in this town. I believe in all the stuff. And I know Sherwood West is taking a lot of your energies and time, but this is the only plot of land on this side of Highway 99 that's got that kind of land and trees and stuff. And once it's gone, it's gone. What's going to happen is you'll have another Murdoch Road situation on your hands, and you'll know about it ahead of time. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you coming in.
And it's probably going to be a little snowy tomorrow, maybe, but just a little.
Thanks for the weather report.
Love this. All right, I had my mic off. Thank you, Dave, for coming in and yeah, thanks for the weather report. Hopefully we will get some snow because that's a fun thing. All right, so the next item, my sheet's back here, is city manager report, and Craig is at a conference in DC, I believe.
Yes.
So we have our amazing assistant
you.
city manager, Kristen Schweitzer, to give an update.
Just a few things. One, I wanted to congratulate the Cultural Arts Commission and the Art Center. They had a great Lunar New Year event this last weekend, and they had over 800 people in attendance. They made some adjustments from last year because I heard it was overcrowded. So they adjusted the flow and were easily able to accommodate everybody. So congrats to them for pivoting and making it work. And it sounds like it was a great experience for everybody. I also wanted to mention that next Thursday, the Old Town Strategic Plan Open House will occur on Thursday, February 13th from 6 to 7:30 over at the Sherwood Center for the Arts. Again, that's Thursday, February 13th from 6 to 7:30. Old Town Strategic Plan over at the Sherwood Center for the Arts. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank Rich and his crew who have been out trying to prep roads and facilities in case we do get some winter weather. And so thank you, Rich. We'll be up bright and early, taking a look at things and making any adjustments necessary. That's all I have unless you have any
Awesome.
questions.
Any questions for Kristen?
Are we on track for the bridge moving this weekend? The pedestrian?
That's March.
Oh, it's March.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, I'm just trying to get my spot staked out. I don't want to. Okay.
I just
You
I
would
saw a
be
lawn
very
chair out
early.
there.
They're moving quick. They don't need
They
more
are.
pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will be sending out some more information. You may have seen their stuff on Facebook, but there's going to be mailers going out to people at the end of this week, just talking about the detour and different routes and preparing for closures.
Great. Awesome. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Great. We are on to council announcements. I can't remember where I started last time. Who wants to go first?
You started at me last time.
Okay.
You can start at me again
Yeah.
if you want.
All right, the library board has not met since last council meeting. The school board did meet though. And it was quite a lengthy meeting. And just want to share some of the highlights from that. They talked about they gave a fiscal update, and the forecast for the 25-26 school year is that they are going to be running a $1.3 million deficit, even after the levy. And they wanted to point out that the levy is supporting 56 FTE, equivalent FTE, full-time employees. And so that the levy has, for the most part, gone towards keeping the staff there. Just wanted to reiterate that. The graduation rates for the school was 96.7 for the high school, which is up from previous year. The regular attendance is up 4% to 77%. We're still kind of recovering from COVID. The Oregon state average is 66%, so we're still well above that as Sherwood. They mentioned some of the academic reports, the third grade reading. Sherwood School District, 65% meet or exceed the expectations for that. Where Black, African American, and Hispanic Latino respectively were at 40.9 and 42.2 for Sherwood. And then for the 8th grade math testing, the school district was at 54% for meet or exceeds the standards, with the Black, African American, and Hispanic Latino at 31.8% and 33.6% respectively. Last council meeting, we had a community member come, Ally, and ask about the vestibule security. The school board is already on that. They approved phase 1 of that security update at the last meeting. They couldn't really discuss the details of that for security reasons, but that is underway. They expect it to be completed within months. I don't know if the school board has put out a notice yet, but they said that they will notify the city public notice for the timeline of that when they know that when that's available. And then they plan on doing a phase 2 update to that after the phase 1 is complete. So they are working on that. And I'm sure that the police chief is aware of those things as well, working in conjunction. I think that's all I got.
Thank you, Dan. Doug? I don't have a lot. The park board.
Sorry.
Finish up.
Yeah, sorry. One more thing. High school, they are doing a play February 7th and 8th and 13th to the 15th. I can't remember the name of
Play
it.
that goes wrong.
There you go. Play that goes wrong. So you can get your tickets online or at the door. Now I'm done.
Don't have a whole lot. Parks Board was scheduled to meet last night, regular monthly meeting, but it was canceled due to lack of agenda. So it's a little bit of a slow time in the Parks Board right now. So we need to, hopefully we'll find them something to do here soon. I think they'll probably, with the Sherwood West comprehensive plan kicking in, they'll have a lot of contributions to that to mull over. So other than that, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Renee?
First, I want to thank the city of Sherwood, the Sherwood City Center for the Arts and Musa Martial Arts for the Korean demonstration. Don't know how many of you were there, but it was absolutely awesome.
That's so much
It was
fun.
so much fun, so cool. And then John finished it up with a demonstration at the school that Saturday where the kids were able to break boards with the Korean students. Absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations to the nominees and the winners for the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce Awards banquet last week. Unfortunately, I did not attend because I was in the air returning from Florida, where it was much warmer than it was here. It's hard to come back to this weather. Let's see. This coming Thursday at 4:30 to 5, there is a ribbon cutting at the new coffee spot, Ziggy's, and that is with the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce. Main Street Sherwood has, I think it's called a Share the Love passport. So around the downtown core, you can go to different businesses. There's a passport that you can get checked off and be into a drawing for various prizes. And tomorrow I have the Senior Advisory Committee Work Committee. We're going to be talking about the senior or age-friendly city and next steps there. And then tomorrow evening, I have the Water Consortium meeting. And I think that's all my announcements.
Thank you. Taylor?
I also don't have a report from the planning commission. We did not meet yet, but I have been doing some family history work, and I recently wrote an article about the Statue of Liberty that I wanted to share a paragraph with you about. And it says, today when you visit the Statue of Liberty, as you get off the ferry, you'll notice the masses rushing by the row of 5 bronze statues. Edward Rene, the French professor who loved American liberty, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi, the dauntless sculptor who finally created his new Colossus that he had originally planned to be in the Suez Canal of an Egyptian woman holding a lantern high. Gustave Eiffel, a young visionary who, as an engineer, built a hidden Eiffel Tower within the Statue of Liberty, and Joseph Pulitzer, who used the media to rally the common man to raise money for the actual place where the Statue of Liberty stands. And Emma Lazarus, whose words have been recited millions of times since she composed them in 1881. These 5 key figures who have made the Statue of Liberty grow from a peasant woman in Egypt to an international symbol of freedom and liberty. I am at once awed by its scale and humbled by the sacrifices made by the freedom that she represents. Today, as we celebrate our liberty, I stand before you as a descendant of tired, poor, and homeless masses. The people I am descended from were blind coal miners and iron workers. As I've learned from the family history that many of you and I are not alone. We are the children of the tired and poor. We are the children of huddled masses, and we are the children of homeless and tempest tossed. We are the children who have had our way lit by liberty's lamp. Let us continue to hold it high for the world to see, and let us reach out with our words and actions to those yearning to breathe free. And I wrote this at a time where I was a little bit discouraged about our love for immigrants and for the people that I'm descended from. And I'm glad that we have such a diverse community here that that welcomes those who are all trying to make this place a better place. That's all I have.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, our last police advisory board meeting was canceled. We didn't have a quorum, so we should have another one coming up in a couple weeks. Last night I attended the Region 1 Area Commission on Transportation. We had lots of updates. One of them was from the Jurisdictional Transfer Advisory Committee update. We got updates on the Oregon 141 Hall Boulevard projects going on in Tigard, and there's an Oregon 281 project going on in Hood River. And anybody listening that didn't tune into our work session, we instructed staff to prepare an ordinance and resolution to create a youth advisory board, which has been in the works for us for a couple years. Renee championed that one for quite some time, and it's going to come to fruition. Most of council has instructed staff to put that together, so I'll come forward for us to vote on in the future. And I think that is it. Oh, the Chamber Awards, I did have the pleasure of attending, and I've attended for many years. And I would say that this is probably one of the, they've all been great, but this one was one of the best ones I've attended. I think I enjoyed it being at the lunchtime, very well put together. And I love the process of how the nominations took place and how the Chamber board members got to vote. And we just had some great people that had won the awards. And one Citizen of the Year was Dave Gilmore. And if anybody has seen his wonderful photography that he gets the history of Sherwood, and he just takes all the pictures around town, and he's just a great guy. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you. I just have a couple things. The Korean Eagles demonstration team, the Taekwondo at the Art Center I didn't know quite what that was going to be like when I got there, but it was truly amazing. A lot of fun. I even got to break a board. That was kind of cool. But yeah, those kids did an amazing job. So that was fun. Just kind of regional and state news. The long session has just started in Salem. So we're actively working with our consultant CFM and lobbying Salem on a whole host of issues, mainly related to housing, preemption of local control, which we're always against, and some other things that are going on related to that down in Salem. We go through a process with the League of Oregon Cities of identifying what areas we're interested in, what areas that we want to lobby on. So those are a focus area for us. We're also looking to bring money back. They have this great bill at the end. It's at the end of every session, every long session. It's called the Christmas tree bill, because that's where all the little projects that all the cities want to do get put in there. So we are advocating for money to finish off, or the last remaining funds we need to do the cleanup on Oregon Street. It's a $5 million brownfield EPA. We got $5 million from the federal government. We need 2 million more, so we're advocating for that. We also need some money to build out the trunk lines for sewer that will help us out with the Brookman area and the Sherwood West area that we're advocating for, and a bunch of other stuff. And those efforts, you kind of have to pick and choose, because the state legislature right now, they're looking for certain types of projects. So if you go in and ask for that kind of project, you have a good chance. If you go in and ask for something different, you're probably not going to get it. So it's kind of a tactical thing and process that we go through, but we're working on that. In the region here, WCCLS, which is the Cooperative Library System, they are going through the process of evaluating what the next library levy looks like. If y'all look at your property bills, you pay for libraries. That funds the vast majority of our library here. And so they're going through that process. So we're involved in talking to them about that, making sure that our library is fully funded and we continue to offer all the services that we always offer. I think that's about it.
Can I mention a bill as well?
Yes, go for it.
So it's not a bill that's not necessarily that council will take up, but it is related to our community. It is being championed by one of the champions, our representative Courtney Neron, and it is Senate Bill 538, Advocates for Disability Supports. And we have one family in our community that's really been championing this for a couple of years. And what it boils down to is there's not enough people for those children or others who need help at home, like round the clock services or in-home care. There's not enough people to provide those services, and they're trying to, who knows their child better than the parents? And so the parents have to make a decision to leave their job to give the support if there isn't support that can come in and help them. So they're advocating for parents being allowed to be those caregivers that the state then helps support, rather than bringing in a stranger or not having somebody available to offer those support. So I think it's a great measure that allows these children with disabilities to have the supports they need. So Senate Bill 538, it did have a hearing today, and I haven't heard any outcome of that yet, but just putting that out there.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, sorry. Can I do one more thing? Last city council meeting, we discussed and adopted a supplemental budget. Within that supplemental budget was some discussion regarding opioid settlement money that our city has received. I just wanted to ask citizens, for those affected or anybody, this is our money for the city, and I want to make sure that the community has input in what we're doing with it. And so if you have comments or ideas on how we should be spending that, please email us. My personal email is stankyd@Sherwood. Oregon.gov, thank you, or the city council. We want to make sure that we are using this money that we're receiving appropriately to address the opioid crisis. That's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Anything else? All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Out to the poll.